While the Rothschilds amassed vast wealth using money to facilitate other men's ambitions, John Davison Rockefeller amassed the greatest individual fortune in history, leveraging the value people attributed to money to shape an industrial empire. Money was Rockefeller's means to create. The second of 6 children, Rockefeller was the oldest son born to William Avery Big Bill Rockefeller. Rockefeller's mother, though, was the force that held the family together. She was a hard-working, devout Baptist. Frugal by nature and by necessity, she taught her children the value of thrift and the grace of charity. Rockefeller set aside no less than 10% of his income for church and charity his entire life. Another pearl gleaned from his mother: willful waste makes woeful want. Rockefeller hated to waste anything, so he worked diligently to make his ventures as efficient and effective as possible. An industrious child, young Rockefeller earned money selling potatoes and candy to other children, and raised and sold turkeys for his mother. Even while contributing to family finances, he managed to save a tidy sum. On the advice of his mother, he lent some of his savings to trustworthy neighbors. When the money he lent was returned to him with interest, he began to understand it was better to let money serve rather than become a slave to money. In the 1850s, the Rockefeller clan settled in Cleveland, Ohio. Young Rockefeller, a disciplined, serious student, attended 2 years of high school in Cleveland. He then completed a 10-week business training program. In 1855, at the age of 16, Rockefeller secured a position as an assistant bookkeeper with a small produce commission firm. The firm bought, shipped, and sold agricultural commodities on commission. Rockefeller loved his work. He earned 50 cents a day. He proved himself to be exacting, tenacious, and exceedingly honest. For the rest of his life, Rockefeller celebrated September 26th, his first day on the job day, like most people celebrate their birthdays. Rockefeller learned early, you must be in control of your own destiny. After a few years as a trusted, hardworking employee, learning everything he could about retailing, wholesaling, and the shipping business, Rockefeller set a new course. In 1859, Rockefeller partnered with Maurice Clark. Together they raised $4,000 in capital and opened a produce commission business. Rockefeller focused on improving efficiencies. The first year in business, the pair grossed $450,000 and turned a profit. With the outbreak of the Civil War, commodity prices rose. The business grew. Rockefeller worked untiringly. He was thorough and precise in his dealings with customers, suppliers, and transporters. He borrowed money to continually expand. Rockefeller realized the prospects for agricultural commerce were limited in Cleveland. In August 1859, the first oil well ever drilled set off an oil frenzy in northwestern Pennsylvania. Rockefeller saw an opportunity. Oil refining was not a capital-intensive business. The industry as a whole was in its infancy, an industry tailored for Rockefeller's expertise. Rockefeller understood the power of collaborating. No one succeeds in business alone. Rockefeller and Clark found a chemist, Samuel Andrews, who knew how to refine oil. Along with Clark's 2 brothers, the 5 men established a refinery, Andrews, Clark and Company in Cleveland. Rockefeller abhorred waste, so he devoted considerable effort to improving the efficiency of oil operations, from wellhead to refining to distribution to final use. He attended to every detail and vertically integrated operations. After a couple of years, Rockefeller's vision for growth began to diverge from that of the Clark brothers. Rockefeller was convinced borrowing money was the way to grow so as to ultimately dominate the oil industry. Rockefeller bought out the Clark brothers. He then brought in his younger brother, William, and expanded. They further increased efficiencies. They borrowed heavily and plowed all the profits back into expansion. Breaking his teeth in the competitive world of agricultural commodities, Rockefeller was uniquely positioned to influence the growth and maturing of the petroleum industry. In 1866, the Rockefeller brothers built a refinery in Cleveland, Standard Works. They also opened an export office in New York. Oil exports eventually outgrew domestic distribution and proved extremely profitable. With an eye toward efficiency, Rockefeller was an adherent of the Darwinian philosophy of business, survival of the fittest. The Rockefellers borrowed money, brought on a new partner, Henry Flagler, and continued to aggressively expand operations. In June of 1870, Rockefeller was majority shareholder, and his partners formed Standard Oil. With the backing of all the major banks in the region, Standard Oil went on a buying spree to acquire any competition. Standard Oil gobbled up oil refiners and petroleum-related companies at an astonishing rate. Standard Oil quickly became one of the largest fully integrated petroleum producers, refiners, and distributors in the world. John D. Rockefeller loved every minute of the adventure building the enterprise. He labored from his perspective to empower and fuel the nation and the world. By so doing, he became the richest man on earth. At one point, Rockefeller controlled nearly 90% of the petroleum industry. Eventually, competitors and politicians alike became convinced that a monopoly did not serve the public interest. Standard Oil was broken into over 30 separate and distinct companies. Rockefeller maintained an interest in all of them. He grew wealthier than ever. By his late 50s, John D. Rockefeller was feeling the wear and tear of empire building. He retired from active management of his business holdings. He devoted the next 40 years to philanthropic pursuits, founding universities, financing medical centers, eradicating disease. He funded church missions and supported the arts. He gave away a fortune. John D. Rockefeller leveraged the currency of trust and made money on a monumental scale. Coupling his ambition with the energy of others, he was able to take advantage of an unprecedented opportunity and reshape the world. Rockefeller put money to use. Money served him. He never became a slave to money. He used money to build an empire.